They say the human... Do you want to... Are you in the mood? Now, what I want you to explain, okay, this is your examination. It's the two extra parts of the mind and what you're translating this last week. You know, so what happens when this part of the mind figures out that part of the mind and what's left of this part of the mind? Okay? Go. Loud. Is that okay? Or you want to come up? Stand up? Here. Yeah. Quick. You mind to stand up? Yeah.
No, I don't mind.
Okay, clip that to your
lapel. So enough.
Yeah, talk loud.
All right.
Mainly to keep people awake.
I know, mind only, right? Yeah. Hi, New York. Hey. Okay, so mind only school. So as Geshe explained, we're doing this text. It's called the Difficult Points in Mind Only School, and that is not a figurative name. It's a really difficult book, and it goes into some of the most technical points of like the most technical school in Buddhism. So the book, the original book by Geshe, who's the founder of our tradition, is called, in Tibetan, say I Dang Kunshi. I Dang Kunshi. Yes, there's more, but that's all. Stick with that. So those are the two extra consciousnesses in the mind-only school. So usually in Buddhism, there's 6 consciousnesses. The 5 senses, right? And the mind. But in the mind-only school, they add 2 extra consciousnesses, and it's super confusing. And so as if it wasn't confusing enough, Geshe named the book. He didn't name the book the 2 extra consciousnesses. He named it I Dang Kunshi. I just means mind. So for 600 years, people are like, mind and foundation consciousness. But that has nothing to do with the book at all. As if it wasn't hard. The title is difficult, okay? So what the title means is kunshi, which is foundation consciousness. I'll talk about that. And this thing called nyun-i. Say nyun-i. Nyun-i. Okay. Nyun is short for nungmong. And nungmong means klesha, afflicted, negative state of mind. Anything that disturbs your state of mind, klesha, right? And so the whole book is basically divided into 2 parts. The part about kunshi and the part about nyun-i. Okay? And not in that order, right? Or kunshi. No, in that order, not in the order of the title. Okay, so we just went through a long section on kunshi, which is foundation consciousness, right? That is in the mind-only school. Let me talk about the mind-only school for 1 second. Okay, so because it's really confusing. The mind-only school is basically the school that the Buddha taught at the end of his career, right? There's 3 turnings of the wheel. Hector taught course 15, right? Very lovingly. And in that course, they talk about the 3rd turning of the wheel. Basically, when Lord Buddha first started teaching his 5 disciples and so on, he taught about suffering, about the heaps, about the consciousnesses, very like clear stuff. And people are like, oh, okay, sounds good. We like that. And then he starts saying wild stuff. He says, nothing exists. You have no eyes, no ears, no mouth, no tongue, nothing. And people are like, what? Right? And he did that on Vulture's Peak, and the Heart Sutra, and the Diamond Cutter Sutra, some of the most famous Buddhist texts. And they're still boggling people's minds. People don't know what these texts mean anymore, right? So that's why Geshe, that's why we got a Geshe, right? Okay, so then this Bodhisattva comes along, and he's like, it's like a Buddhist joke. So Bodhisattva walks into a teaching. He's like, Lord Buddha. He's like, first you say everything's real, then you say nothing's real. Which one is it? Right? And so that's when the mind-only school was born, with that question. And he said, some things are real, some things not so real. Right? And this is the ancient tradition of Buddhism, where you always give a teaching to the level of the students. You don't just start spouting emptiness to newbies, and they're like, nothing exists. And they like run out of 3 jewels, and you know. Okay, so the way he explained it Did you do that, Geshe? So the way he explained it is he added 2 extra consciousnesses. One is called kunshi, right? And that's where all the seeds that we collect, all the karmas, say bakchak. All those are the seeds. Those are the potentials in the mind. And they go into what we call the kunshi. And somehow, you don't want to know how, trust me. You know, you can read my book. It's going to sell like 5, okay? Those seeds become your experiences. That's the basic. That's it. They become blue. They become, you know, Geshe. They become New York, okay? That's enough. So, you don't want to know. So, and then now we're in the second part of our book, which is Nyunyi. So Nyunyi is, they explain how we have bad thoughts. Basically, because Buddhism is also all about suffering, right? Pain. How do we get rid of our problems? So the point of the second half of the book, which we arduously and laboriously got to, is about that. Okay, you got it? Okay, good. So now they're talking about actually very important subject. Geshe just talked about Abhidharma, and you talked about cessations, right? Sorsor Tangi Gok. Yeah, and Sorsor Tangmingi Gok. Right? How do we end our problems? That's what it means, pretty much, right? Okay, so in the book, they're saying, okay, there's this thing where all our problems are kept, right? And with it are all these other problems. Like, not only do you have, like, bad things happen to you, but, you know, when you do it, you feel bad, you think it's bad. When your mind touches it, it's bad, and so on and so forth. And they go into categorizing that. It's really annoying. And
report this to
no, it's very detailed. It's amazing, but it's annoying. Okay. And so they explain all that, but then they ask, it's like a trick question, because you gotta remember this about what's the thing with all the other schools? They're wrong.
Right.
Yeah, they're not complete. They're perfect for the student, but there's another one that can take you the whole way. You can't get enlightened with them, right? So the question is, if it's true that you have this part of your mind that's broken, and it's accompanied by all these other parts of your mind that are messed up, when you reach a stage when you've seen the ultimate, like emptiness directly, and you're supposed to never have to come back to the desire realm, this place where we just want food and sex, okay? That's how the first Dalai Lama defined it. Not me. It's not my. Don't look at me like that. Once we reach that stage, what happens to that mental function in our mind? And to get rid of it, do we need to have a full lobotomy, or can we just pull that crap out and then go along and be cool and like end samsara? Yay! Yay!